Hello there. Welcome to What's Cooking right here on City TV. My name is, of course, Apiorkor. Now, today it gets really interesting. I'm hosting a gentleman who doesn't like to eat much, but he still likes food in a funny way. And so we're doing something of a brunch, Afro fusion, something. We're going to make some tuna sandwiches, some egg sandwiches. I've just put the eggs on fire, so we have our hard-boiled eggs ready. And then we're going to make some Afro tea fusions as well. There's a lot you can do with our herbs, with our leaves, with our fruits when it comes to teas. But we're not really maximizing those potentials here in Ghana. So we're going to do some of that today. And when I introduce my guests when we return, you, yes you, will understand why we're doing it all bougie today. Once again, you're welcome to What's Cooking. Don't forget that this show is sponsored by Tasty Tom. Ufa kakra, na ye bebre. We'll be right back. Welcome back. It's still What's Cooking right here on City TV, and my name, yeah, it's still Apiorkor, hasn't changed. But it's time for me to welcome my guests, and if you're just joining us, I'll have you just, bring you up to speed a little bit. I'll tell you what we're doing today. So you see all these things. There's tuna, there's crushed dried pepper, like the kind that we use for shito, but it's blended into a fine powder, right? We've got some tomatoes, we have parsley, we've got a cucumber somewhere, some mint leaves, all sorts of interesting things, butter bread and sugar bread. We're going to make some sandwiches, and then we're going to do some Afro tea fusions, okay? But there's a reason why we're doing this. The gentleman I'm about to introduce, he's one of the bougiest people I know. Look, his face is bougie. The way he dresses is bougie. The way he speaks is bougie. His whole life speaks bouginess. And so we couldn't have done it any other way. Allow me to introduce the man that they call KOD on these streets. KOD, right? Kofi Otredako.
What a way to introduce me.
I know, I had to.
I almost said you dressed me in borrowed robes, in the words of Shakespeare.
Look, I said I'm coming to cook. Look at him.
Right?
And look, KOD told me something. He said, look, if I'm going to cook with you, then I'm going to ask the questions.
Yeah, I'll do the questions. I'll ask the questions and you
I'm
do
sure he'll be putting me on the hot seat today, but I'm ready for him. But you look stunning.
Trying to be like you, just a male version of you.
No. I'm trying to be the
And it's great
version.
to be in your glittering kitchen. I love it here.
You're welcome. Now, KOD is family, but I don't think we brought him to the kitchen before. No, we haven't.
No. We've been talking about this for like, 2 years?
I tell you.
It's the last place you want to have me.
But you're finally here.
I'm finally here.
So I'll tell you and our viewers exactly what we're making.
Okay.
I know you love teas.
I do. I love my teas and coffees. I've gone slow on coffee lately.
You mentioned you have always projected Ghana on the continent of Africa. So we're going to do a fusion. Oh, I see that. Is that a caveman watch? I didn't wear mine today, but yes.
I know.
Ghana all the way.
Yeah, all the way.
Right? And I'll have you know that everything that I'm wearing is made in Ghana. And obviously, 1957 representing. So we have some Kenyan tea.
Yeah.
I mean, Ghanaians, we don't really produce tea.
I know we don't.
Right?
Yeah.
So Kenyan tea was the next best thing. So we have some Kenyan tea.
They're actually awesome with that.
Brilliant.
Incredible. Yeah.
Brilliant. So you've got our Kenyan tea here. Now what we're going to do is we're going to do an Afro fusion iced tea.
Love the name of it already.
So Kenyan tea is there, black tea. We're going to throw some honey in there, our natural honey that we have in these parts. We're going to add a little bit of pepper. So I was saying earlier that wabi, when you dry it, the one you use for shito, just the blended ground chili pepper, akwele wabi, and we're going to throw a kick in there. Some time ago, Beyonce was making all sorts of interesting weight loss drinks, and people were excited that they saw their own pepper in there. We're going to play around with that.
Yeah, I need to reduce a little bit.
Really. We also have apples. These days, we're seeing more and more apples on the streets, literally, of Accra, and we find them a lot in Ghana. So we'll play around with those too.
We'll do that.
You know, a lot of the time we encounter them, we just have them raw. So we'll throw that into our tea.
Okay.
Then we're also going to make a mint tea. Mint leaves, the ones that we know and love. We'll add a little bit of basil, which we call akoko mesa. I think a lot of people, when they think of akoko mesa, they think savory. Exactly. Yeah. But you can do a lot with that in your teas as well. And then we'll add some cinnamon as well to that. That's basically what it is.
Yeah.
Then on the sandwich bit, I intentionally chose good old butter bread.
Yeah.
The sugar bread too is representing.
Yep.
We'll do some toasting, we got some butter, and then our tuna that we usually eat with komi or eba, whatever it is, we'll use some tuna. We got black pepper here, some olive oil, and then of course some mayo, some tomatoes. Just play around with it. And then
it's a complete meal for me.
It is. And we have pickled peppers. You know the Apiorkor, the Europeans, Americans, they do a lot of pickles. So I decided instead of using pickled cucumbers.
The first time I had pickles, man, it just came straight from my nose.
Pickled peppers, smell that though. It smells really good, doesn't it? And for those who don't know what pickles are, you can take any vegetable. You can take onions, garlic, we're talking about peppers, cucumbers, and then you put them in brine. So that's salt water. You can add spice to if you want, and you let it sit for typically a week or over. It's a way of preservation, just like how we preserve our tilapia. It becomes kobe, our momoni, that kind of thing, but this time with the veggies. So that's what we're doing. Sounds simple enough?
Let's go.
And then I mentioned we're making some egg sandwiches too, so the eggs are already boiling.
Yeah, almost done.
You told me that you I'm not coming to cook, so I
know assist you around here.
I know ball.
I'll do the cutting for you.
I know ball. So what I'm going to start doing now is preparing our mint and akoko mesa fusion. Okay. So what we want to do is just take some of our mint leaves. I won't use all because I want us to use some for garnishing.
Quickly.
Oh yeah, I washed my hands already.
Yeah, you did.
Oh, I forgot our aprons. How could I?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Okay, so when you're done, your apron is here. Okay. So this is your apron.
Right.
So the mint leaves are going in here. I'm going to reserve some of them so that we can garnish and all that. But can you smell that? It's gorgeous, isn't it? And then we have some cinnamon powder. If you like, though, you can actually use cinnamon sticks, you know, and then, which are also easy to find these days.
Right.
So a generous amount of cinnamon powder. And I'm just going to add a tiny bit of our ground red pepper. Not much. Just for a bit of a kick.
Go fine.
No, you don't want trouble. And then at this point, I'll add a bit of honey. So we're going to start the bowl with honey, and then we'll sweeten it when we feel like it. So what the honey is going to give it a bit of a caramel vibe, you know. And then we've got some leaves here. Okay, not much because you don't want the savory to overpower the sweet. Okay, wonderful. And I'm just pouring. We have some drinking water. I'm just going to fill it up.
Yeah, I can do some cutting.
I'll tell you what to do. So first of all, please chop some of this. This is parsley, fresh parsley. Okay, we can use this one. At least you knew where to find a knife.
Yeah.
There's hope. There's grand hope.
I know. I'm actually trying. I'm trying to make an effort. You know?
So is it that you don't cook at all?
At all.
Hey,
that's what happens when you have only sisters, right? You know, and being the last one.
Okay. That explains it.
Yeah, the last amongst them. I had no business.
Oh, you're the last born.
Yeah, I'm the last one. So I had no business.
You must have been spoiled.
Spoiled things. Very obvious,
Brats.
can't you tell?
Spoiled brats, as you say.
I know. Okay.
Okay, so you're just gonna put that. No, but your knife skills are very, very laudable. commendable. Okay, I like that.
Righty, let's go.
All right. So where did you develop your love for tea?
It's from my mom. Yeah, she'll drink tea from morning till evening.
Ish.
But it's actually the last from my dance crochet. So, some pronounce that crochet.
But is that something that happens in your culture, or?
No, I think it's because my grandfather was a seaman.
Okay.
So that's what he probably brought from wherever he went to, and she picked it up from her.
That definitely makes sense.
It was transferred to the rest of us.
That definitely makes sense. That's amazing.
And
so coffee as well.
Yeah, coffee. Because at some point I was doing a lot of work with Nestle. You know, when we doing the Nescafe African Revelations, discovering the musicians.
That.
So we had to sell coffee.
You were selling coffee.
Yeah, selling coffee.
Selling coffee through talent.
Exactly. Yeah, probably maybe age 7. I knew exactly what I was going to be. I was definitely going to find myself in the orange economy, in the creative space, and as it were, you know, back then. Well, I mean, some parents are still not too happy when their children decide to choose that path. And I'm getting flashbacks of my mother describing it as, oh, he wants to become a public toy. That's how she described it.
A public toy?
Public toy, like everyone's going to have a bit of you. Can you imagine?
So painful.
I know, and you know, because I was big on music right from a very young age. I paint, I draw, you know, a bit of music, which saw my life in the music space as well as a producer in the early 2000s, you know. So I was definitely going to be in this space. At age 16, I was already a copywriter. So
what schools did you go to? Because people hear you, and one of the first things that resonates with them is, he speaks so well.
I try.
His English is nice. It just rolls off of his tongue.
Well, you know what it means to be Apiorkor's friend?
But where did that come from? Because from what we know of you, you spent a lot of your formative years
right here.
Kumasi.
Yeah, actually,
you grew up in Accra.
Yeah, I was born in Winneba.
Okay.
And then Kumasi for a couple years, I think so. I came to Accra in 1982, I believe. Yeah, and that's been it. So,
you know, there's a notion, and it's a very unfair one.
Right.
It's a stereotype, really, that if you're Ghanaian and you don't grow up in Accra, then your English is not going to be spot on.
It's not true.
You know, and I've seen several instances where that's not the case.
Let me tell you, there's something about my people from Kumasi. They would say,
hey,
you know,
God.
It's really a lazy thing for us to do as Ashantis. We prefer speaking our own language. That's what it is. I mean, you have undoubtedly one of the finest broadcasters in Ghana working with your team, Freeman. She's so Ashanti.
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely. And we have Eno Safo, who's at the new group, and you hear her like, what was she born in America?
So I think it's a totally wrong notion. And for me, my mom tried for me to learn to pronounce words right. That's it.
What was it like growing up with? I mean, you mentioned that you're the last of how many children?
Well, 7 in total.
7 in total. Yeah. And you're the last
last born.
But did you have brothers? You have brothers
yes,
as well?
I have a couple brothers. You know, but they were never home.
So you spent time with the girls?
With only the girls, yes.
What was that like?
Overly pampered, especially being the last one. The age difference between the one before me, the age difference is about 11 or 12.
That's a lot.
You know, so I was their baby. I was their baby.
That's a lot.
When I was born, my first sister actually had her own. So the timing was really interesting.
Do you think that has anything to do with your love for fashion? I mean, because, again, stereotype, but generally when we think of fashion, we think of women being the forerunners of it. Yep. And I imagine you were born in what, 1978?
1978, yeah. To have sisters, obviously, I mean, you can tell. Some of them wouldn't mind what they wear. There were those who were a bit into themselves and pretty frivolous. And I think somehow they pick a bit of that from mom as well. Towards my dad's last days, I realized that the lady spent a lot more time making sure he was very comfortable. I was always gone, you know, follow-up calls to make sure he was okay. But in terms of being physically present, it was my sisters. And I'll give them that credit. So I know what it means to have ladies. Yeah. And they
have people. I mean, we live in a society where, and again, your eldest daughter is how old now?
She just turned 14.
Okay, so that's still, you know, pretty old but young.
Yeah.
You know, you have Gen Alphas in your home.
Yep.
But you yourself are an older millennial.
Exactly.
Have you had situations where people have laughed at you or made comments about you not having a boy? Because this is a society we live in that glorifies.
No, I don't think so. I don't think it's such a. I don't think it's such a big deal.
Perhaps in your circles,
no.
or you're not even allowed it to come up.
I don't even care about that. You know, I don't even care about that. I mean, it's okay to have a boy, but it's exactly what do they do? And you know, there's something about there's something about.
I mean, I love the guys, man. But yeah, what can you do that we?
I know, you know, there's something about having girls too. One of them definitely starts playing the role of a guy.
Absolutely.
And my younger one is that, you know, that person.
I think that was me.
Yeah.
So let me just tell you what we've done so far, you and our viewers. So
Right.
we took some tuna. We had the tuna flakes, and you know you have the chunks and the flakes. We mixed them. The chunks usually tend to have a lot more of the white meat, right? And then the flakes are a little darker. I'm too sure, so you're going to do that.
I know.
Well, I feel shame.
Mafi.
So I mixed those together, added some mayo, the parsley that you so beautifully chopped, that went in there as well, some of it, a little bit of olive oil, and then I added some white pepper, black pepper, and a little bit of the ground red pepper. That's what I did too.
Yeah.
So that's where we're at now. Now I'm going to add a bit of salt. I don't have salt here, but Aso, you know, you have a lady called Aso, you know, behind the scenes out. Yeah. Aso, please, we need some salt. Yeah, so we're just going to add a little bit of salt. And our eggs are almost ready, so pretty shortly we can start with the egg sandwiches as well, at least the filling for it. But we need to toast our bread. We butter each side of the bread. Meanwhile, our eggs are done, so I'm just running some cold water on them. Come along, eggies.
There we go.
How are we doing?
Pretty well.
Yeah.
All
so
of them?
try to get all the corners too.
Okay.
Yeah. So you have an even brown one.
Yep.
Alrighty. Let's go for a break. And when we come back, we continue cooking with KOD right here on What's Cooking. And don't forget that this show is sponsored by Tasty Tom. Ufa kakra. Nah, yeah, bebre. We'll be right back.
City TV is live on DSTV. Go to channel 363. On GoTV, access City TV on channel 182. On a digital TV, please press the menu button on the remote control and run a new search on your TV. Take note that without an antenna, you cannot access City TV on your television. City TV can be accessed on a free-to-air digital box like the GoTV and StarTimes box. City TV, it's your world.
We're back. It's still What's Cooking. My name is Apiorkor. I'm still here with KOD.
Great.
And, of course, we're still sponsored by Tasty Tom. Ufa kakra. Na ye bebre. I know. It's like so fun, right? But yeah, so because of KOD, for KOD's sake,
Right.
we're making tea today. Look, I've gone to dream all sorts of teas, Afro fusion things, and we are doing them, right? So if you look into our teapot, KOD, we are already done with our mint and akukomesa fusion. Yes, right? Okay, so there's a bit of honey in there, but when we sit down, we'll have to put sugar. There's brown sugar, there's white sugar, or if you want to still stick with honey to taste, okay?
Exactly.
So when we sit down, we'll do that. But now we're going to make an iced tea. Right? But before we even get into that, you've been very nicely buttering up these slices of butter bread. Yes, it's Ghana butter bread. So those who are watching us from outside Ghana, you better tell your Ghanaian friends. Go on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, wherever, TikTok. Find some Ghanaian and tell them to ship some butter bread to you. There's nothing like it, I tell you. Okay, so we have a frying pan. We're putting it on fire. Oh, just golden brown. Not too then it should be a bit stiff. We should feel that it's toasted. Okay, so while KOD is working the butter bread on the pan, we're mixing our tea. So another thing I'm going to add, cloves. Cloves, very popular Ghanaian spice, and of course internationally cloves are, okay. Pepper, I believe, is it pepper? Yeah, pepper, yes, okay. But they look like nails, right? So you see them, okay. So I'm just going to put a few of them in there as well. Cloves tend to have a very strong taste, and that's not necessarily what we're going for. So, because you don't want to take too much away from the taste of the tea itself. African teas, Kenyan teas, they are very flavorful on their own, so we don't want to take too much away from them. And then back to our chili pepper, right? If you're just joining us, I mentioned earlier that when you think of akwele wabi, so the long chili peppers that you tend to dry, and once they are dry, you can use them to make shito, our African or Ghanaian black pepper sauce, right? You take that dry pepper and you grind it or you blend it and you get this powder, right? So I just want a bit of that in there. And since this is an Afro fusion tea, the pepper is important. We like our spice, we like our kick. We love it, you know. Okay, so that's in there as well. And then I'm just going to add a little bit more cinnamon in this tea as well. It was one of the stars of the show in the first tea we did with the mint and the akukɔ mesa. But I'm adding just a bit of cinnamon here. Cinnamon tends to go very nicely with cloves. And when you've got brown sugar in there, it gives you a nice kick. That's what I'm doing. And then dividing it into two as much as possible, we want to get all the spice that we put in there on both sides. And then we're going to get some cold water. Yes, please. So we need to go into our egg sandwich. So we'll just slice the eggs as small as possible. Cold water. I'll be right back. Just look at that. It looks so rich. Yeah, I do. As small as you can get them. My able sous chef. So the egg mixture, we've got our pickled peppers in there, nicely sliced. Good job, KOD. Eggs in there. The rest of the chopped parsley goes into, and as usual, our usual suspects. White pepper. You can be generous with it. And some black pepper. I'll use the olive oil as well. Okay. And then some olive oil. Okay. All right. And then of course our mayo. Yeah, the seeds, yeah? Mm-hmm. Hey, the artist in you is really... It's gorgeous. Okay. And once again, these are things that you can easily find in your home. I mean, we do a lot with eggs, our peppers, our tuna, all sorts of interesting things. Apples, tomatoes. I don't think there's anything foreign here. The sugar, the honey that we all know and love, the butter bread. So we're going to use the butter bread that you so kindly toasted for the tuna sandwich. Yep. And then we'll use the sugar bread for the egg sandwich. No, tea bread, they jump. And really, you can use any kind of bread. Wheat bread, tea bread, sorghum bread, sweet potato bread, any kind of bread that you want. If you want to Mediterranean or Lebanese style, pita bread too does the trick. You know. Okay.
Growing up, I used to call it Jesus bread.
It's a very apt name.
Yeah.
A very apt name. Okay, so just a bit of salt. I didn't add salt to the eggs while they were boiling, so just a bit of salt. Oh, look at that. Okay, apples are ready. So we're just going to toss them in here. Okay. Yeah, so 1, 2, 3, 4. One more is fine. Okay, great. And then I'll put it in the freezer so it chills quickly. And we have one more pitcher because the last thing you want is to go through all this trouble to make all this tea and then you drink 2 cups and it's finished and you are bashing yourself. So usually make enough for later. So please help me. There we go. Beautiful. You know, if I had sliced them myself, I would not have chosen this shape.
Okay.
But I love it. I love it. Okay. Right. And then now we can start putting our sandwiches together. Okay. And this is how you can tell you're cooking with an artist. You may not cook, but you understand keeping your workstation neat. So, okay, so let's start with the toasted bread. The tuna is going in there.
Right.
Okay. We don't want any malnourishment in our sandwiches. We want them to be nicely filled.
Yeah.
Okay, and then let me just take tomatoes. Take the smaller ones. We just want 1 or 2 slices in each sandwich. Long things. Okay. Okay. There we go. And then want to top it. Alrighty. Let me do another one. So you want to do this one? Like it. Glorious job. Okay, and then we do our tomatoes. 1, 2. Okay. Right on top. Absolutely. Okay, so tuna sandwich is done. And then we move on to the egg sandwiches. Egg sandwich, we can still use some of the toasted bread, but I want us to play with the sugar bread now.
All right.
So, first piece. Let me just do 2 so that we can do 2 at the same time. Same principle. And so these are things you can do for your kids. Like I said, if you want a light supper, you can do it. You can choose to do Milo instead. You can buy some Hausa cocoa on your way home and have the sandwich. In fact, if you buy the tea bread with the cocoa, then you use the tea bread to make the sandwich when you get home. Quick and easy and very filling. Not every day banku and fufu. We love them, but not every day, you know. Not every day. If you had fufu for lunch, do sandwich for dinner.
Actually, I mean, how can you before even eat sandwich for dinner?
No, but for some people, no. Hey, they have to eat banku 3 times a day. Oh no. Okay, so we need some more to top it off. All right. There we go. So, we're all done and ready, and it's time to sit down and eat. And of course, I've been saving the conversations with KOD for the table, because I don't want to be found wanting there. So I know, baby, I know. So let's go on a break. When we come back, we sit down and we dine like the king and the queen that we are. We'll be right back.
City TV is live on DSTV. Go to channel 363. On GoTV, access City TV on channel 182. On a digital TV, please press the menu button on the remote control and run a new search on your TV. Take note that without an antenna, you cannot access City TV on your television. City TV can be accessed on a free-to-air digital box like the GoTV and StarTimes box. City TV, it's your world.
I'm here with KOD, the Kofi Otredaku. Do people still call you by your full name? When I was KOD.
I know, but I actually prefer Kofi.
Kofi, okay,
Yeah,
you know.
I do.
Bra Kofi. Yeah. We're here. We've been making some interesting things. I mean, KOD is a lover of many things, and we'll talk about that shortly, but one of those things is tea. He likes his tea, he likes his nibbles. So we've made some sandwiches. We have some egg sandwiches here, which we used Ghana sugar bread, almighty sugar bread to make. There's some interesting ingredients in there as well. We have some tuna sandwiches too. And KOD toasted the bread, I must say. You really got it golden brown. I like it. I like it. And then we made some tea. So this is an Afro fusion iced tea. We used Kenyan tea because we wanted to keep it authentically African.
Very African.
So Kenyan tea, boiled it. We got some cloves in there, sliced apples. Again, KOD, I didn't see this coming, but I should have. I mean, anybody who can slice and dice fabric should be able to slice and dice fruits. So I'm not surprised. And then we have some brown sugar in there as well, and a bit of the blended chili pepper, red chili pepper. And then in the teapot, we made a mint and Apiorkor mesa fusion. And there's some cinnamon in there, some honey as well. And I didn't put too much honey, so when we actually start drinking, we need to take some of this. So let's get started. There's some ice. So these clear ones are actually for the iced tea. Yes.
Let me take care of you first.
Thank you. See, a gentleman as well.
Okay.
Just one more. Yeah.
Oops.
Okay, great.
Right.
Thank you. So I'll pour from here. You can pour from there.
Right.
Okay. Wonderful. Look at that. And then we've got our plates. It's like a picnic, you know,
Actually, it is.
African style,
I know.
with a KOD vibe. So which sandwich do you want to start with?
Let me start with tuna.
Okay, okay,
Yeah,
there you go.
that's right in front of me.
Yeah, right in front of you. Get that as well. And then our hot tea as well. We can't forget that. So that's in the teapot. Let's just love the teacups. So Frema and I went shopping, you know, and we bought them some time ago. The Frema Dunyami. Yes.
When I visit her, we drink tea.
It sounds like her because that's what she makes us do all the time.
There we go.
Drinking tea and all sorts of things. Okay. No, I don't mean all sorts. I mean like tea, different kinds of teas.
I didn't think about that.
no, but you know, so some of the Sabi people who are watching us, they'll start thinking of things. All right, so we can dig right in. And of course, before we do, don't forget that this show is sponsored by Tasty Tom. Ufa kakra, na ye. Bebre kwa. Did I say? They say they laugh at my trio. They say my trio is not the best.
Bebre kwa. I don't know about having kwa.
Bebre.
Yeah.
Okay. I love it. So, speaking of chi, let's go back to your roots.
Yeah.
What was it like spending? I mean, how old were you when you moved from Winneba to Kumasi? Because we did mention that earlier. No memories of Winneba. So you must have been very young.
Very young.
So by what age were you in Accra? Honey, please.
Maybe 5.
5.
Yeah.
That's
I think
young.
so.
That's why you speak Ghana like that.
Oh yeah, pretty young. You know, modern.
So which part of Accra did you grow up in?
Cantonment. Because my father was stationed at Roman Ridge.
Yeah, but you still bougie.
Well, so it was well, let me just say first.
Yeah.
So the commandants then at the prison.
Yes.
Training school. So
What was that like? You know, I don't think I know some prisons officers,
Yeah.
but I don't think I know personally in my immediate circle anybody who's a child of a prisons officer.
Okay.
What was that like?
I think that era was also part of it. You know, it was in the 1980s, revolution, loads of things happening, and he was transferred from the training school to James Ford Prison, which I think now is supposed to be a museum.
Museum, yeah.
And you know, I never visited any like real hospital. If I had to go to the hospital, I went to the prisons. That's where my clothes were made as well. Yeah, because they have everything in there, tailors, you know, everything. So it was an interesting time for me within the prison space. And I also got to interact a lot with the inmates. And you know, for me, it was to grow up, not to become everything that they were. That was also very important. I don't know if that was the indirect lessons that my father wanted me to learn.
Perhaps,
from those guys, but he never, he allowed me to, you know, interact with them. Then again, we had some of them who came home to work. So even if I didn't go to the prisons, you know, I'd see them all the time. Yeah, it was a great time.
And now looking back, and I mean, of course, you're an adult now, knowing what you know now about the way prisons and the prison system works, how do you feel? Do you feel privileged to have experienced that, or do you?
You know, there's something I say all the time. It doesn't matter where you find yourself, whether you're doing good or bad, you could end up in jail. You know, you could be at the wrong place at the wrong time. I've experienced that several times. It's one of my prayers every day when I wake up. God, just order my steps and make sure I'm at the right place at the right time. And I think what governments have failed to do is to improve the prison system. You know, I look at what governments have done for maybe the Ghana Armed Forces, the Ghana Police. They are always getting like,
there's always some kind of improvement. Yeah.
You know, being re-equipped, and I don't see the same thing with the prisons. Meanwhile, when the politicians get it wrong, that's where they would end up. Because they won't end up wearing military uniforms or working with the Ghana Police Service. They'll end up in the prisons.
True.
You know, but then very often people get carried away when they're in office and just take care of themselves and forget about that element. So it's one thing, and I think also being someone whose father was in the prison space and having a voice and influence within society. As a family, we support they call it Senior Correctional Center. I don't know why they call it Senior.
Yes, now yes.
Yeah,
right.
It used to be called Boston back in the day.
Yeah.
Jimmy. You hear me?
Wow. This is more like my hometown, you know.
I know. Not like mine.
No.
Not like mine, but yeah. I can say
Danish Accra.
Danish Accra.
I know, right?
But you see, he's going to
Well, I've gone to British Accra, so really.
So don't worry.
I know.
Let me
You
grab
see?
the seat.
Yeah.
Like the audacity. He walks in with open this and show it to
No, but today what we're doing
Oh.
is this, yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah.
You don't really need this.
Yes, today.
Well, you need your
Finger
teaspoon.
licking good.
You need your teaspoon. No, even lucky. Sometimes he'll actually tell you he'll eat the sandwich with a fork and knife
Well,
just
he
to
could
make
decide
use of
to-
his cutlery.
Exactly.
Yes.
No, please don't encourage it.
This is
I
nice.
know.
Can I take a seat now?
Yeah, please do.
Yes.
Welcome, Jimmy.
Even if we say you don't, and you
Yeah.
cannot, and you
So-
will not.
So what type of tea is this?
Well, it's Afro fusion.
It's
So
like
this one is Kenyan
is it
tea. You've got
Tea
Lord.
from Nairobi.
it's not hot too.
Well,
No.
it's supposed to be iced tea, so
As
you
we
can
say
have some.
in Ghana, kolo tea.
Kolo tea. Yeah, there you go. You can start with that one.
Kolo tea.
Yeah.
Kolo tea.
Yes.
Kolo tea.
Nice one.
But yes, you were saying.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So I think that
You see how the Taster General just
I
comes
know
to.
having an opportunity to have a voice, and I tell my brother Johnny Hughes from TV3 as well, because his father worked very closely with my dad, that we should project what happens within the prisons.
Absolutely.
And the politicians who should also have an influence in there. I was pretty surprised when the Pentecost Church decided to build a
prison
for the prison trade. I think that was very commendable.
Yesterday I saw somebody's post. So this is tuna and this is egg. You want
tuna. Yeah. A little bit tuna.
So at the risk of stirring controversy, I saw a post on social media the other day where the person says, lists a whole number of things that make it obvious that Ghana doesn't work like anything else in the world or any other place in the world. And then it says churches are building prisons and the government is building cathedrals.
I'm strongly against that.
But yeah, I have done, neither have I. And maybe we can get into that conversation another day, but neither have I. I mean, and even if there's a laudable idea there, I just think that they haven't explained to us exactly what they want. They haven't sold the idea to us.
What we've been told is that the president has a pact with God. That was the worst thing to say last week. Communication. Serviette.
Well. Yes, I'll get some. Also, so we need some serviette, some tissue, please. All right, but Kofi, you're right. We haven't done much for our prison service, and when you go to the prisons of the world, you mentioned the senior correctional centers. I have a whole poetry piece on that. Yeah. We talk about the prisons at Akuse, all over the country. We're not seeing prisons the way they should look. So people go in there, and I know people who have been in prison. Yeah. Now when they come out, because of the work I do, writing and all that, you need to interact with all kinds of people from different backgrounds, different experiences, right? And a lot of the time you find out that they go one of two ways. There are people who actually want to go back because Ghana is hard, but
we don't
I'd rather be there.
We don't embrace them back into
society, exactly. Yeah. And then there's the other crop who feel like, oh, you know what? I was treated so badly in prison. There is no dignity there, so I have nothing to lose. I will sin again, for lack of a better way of putting it. Yeah.
And the whole idea of rehabilitation and reformation, I believe, doesn't take place.
No.
You see how they live in there.
No. I remember
correctional centers.
Yes.
Well, that's what it's supposed to be. Yeah.
I remember a few years back, even as City, we went to the prisons at Akuse, and they're trying to do some things. Even though it wasn't the work of the state. I mean, there are individuals and groups in the society who have come together. They're trying to put together all sorts of vocational, spaces within the prison's premises so that people can learn a trade while they're there. A library so that they can read and remain in touch with the world, grow their minds, that kind of thing. But across the board, nothing. But is there, and I'm happy that you said that, your family, because of the background you have and the fact that your father served in the prison service, you do your best to give back to the prisons when you can. I think that's amazing.
In actual fact, it's not been done now, so I didn't want to talk about it. I have some ex-servicemen from the British Army, friends of mine. And we're looking at getting things for some of the stations across Ghana. Now the challenge is, we had that before. You bring the things in and you're supposed to pay at the port. And they are meant to help the society. The last time we brought stuff in, we ended up sending them to Togo because it's a free port over there, because we're having challenges clearing them at the port. So we decided to have conversations with the prison service authorities to see how they can get the government to waive it. Once it's waived, we don't have to pay any taxes, and then we can get the things in to support.
I don't even know what to say, but that's something we'll advocate for. Maybe we can talk more about that and see how we can pick up that conversation. Because if people, well-meaning people, are being citizens and not spectators, and are trying to do something for a section of society, then we need to do our best to support them.
I think that then again, maybe the guys at GR, we can't really tell for a fact, but then I think if there's a letter from document exactly from the Ministry of Interior and that of the Ghana Prison Service as well, attached to whatever we present to them, they can decide to do any investigation they choose to and just declare them.
Very simple. Very simple.
Yeah.
Because people in high offices have taken advantage, undue advantage.
Some people
so they're also suspicious.
Exactly.
Yes, you understand. So, and it's not our doing. I mean, why would Pentecost build a prison for?
No, they have no business.
There
In
you
actual
go.
fact, they should have built their cathedral.
Absolutely. You see?
You know.
Absolutely. But, I mean, KOD Kofi, this is one of the reasons why I love to have conversations with you. The beauty, the shared beauty of your mind. You know, you're very well informed. You post things on social media and they're inspiring, they're informative, they're educative. And a lot of people, again, back to stereotypes, which we've been speaking a lot. It looks like you do a lot of things and you come from a lot of places that have stereotypes around them.
From a lot of places.
Stereotypes surrounding them. But the notion for some reason is, and has always been, oh, you know, if you're in the arts, if you are in certain aspects of media, especially the lifestyle, the entertainment, then you can't be that smart. You know, you have to be talking about news and current affairs.
That's actually very backward.
Extremely. But that's what people think.
Supposed to be like the best people in
I
the
tell
world.
you.
Let me tell you this. So I did a little bit of acting, which Jimmy has been doing for some time for DSTV. I think last year, Cohabits, the series that's showing on DSTV, and I got the script. I'm like, wow. I mean, if an actor, and I've always done cameos, but for that particular series, I had a role to play. Yeah. And going through those scripts was a lot of work.
It would be.
Do you understand? So I'm like, okay, so being an actor, you could end up in any space. Because today you're a lawyer, tomorrow you're a policeman, the next day you're playing different roles. Yeah. And to play those roles well, you need to be in tune and in sync with whatever happens in that area. Because you're communicating to people outside who understand and know what you're saying.
Very true.
Yeah. Do you understand?
Very true.
So I think people just take the creative space for granted. Then again, I think it also comes from where we come from as a country. The kind of background we've had over the years, people who have been in a creative space and how some have carried themselves.
That's very true.
I think that's also part of it. You know?
I thank you for saying that so boldly. Because several times, on several occasions, things like this come up and we fail to openly state that some people have come and shown up in these spaces, haven't really represented creatives well. You know, so thank you for saying that so boldly. But you are very bold and very opinionated, and you don't hide what you think, you know. But also very diplomatic when you have to be, and I think it's a wonderful thing. But I want to find out from you, what do you read? What do you watch? Because you are very knowledgeable about so many different things.
I think as someone who finds himself in the media space, which we do, you should be abreast of almost everything. Working on radio, I did everything from working at dawn through to doing what Bernard Avle does on radio now, you know, hosting the morning show and doing all the politics. And you need a certain level of versatility. You know, you need a certain level of knowledge in every area. You won't be on top of everything, but the basic things to engage.
You shouldn't be quiet at a dinner table. You should have something to say.
You should. And once again, I think I'll give my mother credit. I give my mother a lot of credit because my father's work entailed him being out all the time.
Of course.
I was saying it was during the, you know, PNDC time. There were a lot of things happening, you know, and fathers who found themselves in a security space were having maybe like 2 or 3 hours of sleep, and it was one of them. You know, so my mom had that role of being a mom and dad to me. My dad was a super dad, but my mom was major in raising us, and she made sure that as a young man growing up, I was on top of all these things.
How did you conceive Rhythms on the Runway? And I know you have many young men and women whom you work with, and I've seen you on several occasions give credit to your teams. But how did it come to you in a vision? Like, what happened?
It was a vision. After my daughter was born, Rima was born, Yeah, Ophelia started making clothes for her, of course. So my mother, who's a fashion designer, having a daughter, started making
That's your
clothes for
wife,
her,
of
yes.
course.
And some of our friends were like, oh, I'd want the same thing for my daughter. I'm getting flashbacks of Doreen. Ando actually wanted the children's outfits replicated for her. Do you understand? So we thought, oh, let's have a clothing line for kids. So we started it named after Ohima Kids. And our debut show was probably about 13 years ago. Yeah, she was one day.
now.
Yeah, she's 14 now.
14 now.
Yeah, 14, yeah.
Teenager.
Yeah, she is. You know, so we had our debut at the Old Twist nightclub. And that saw the birth of Rhythms on the Runway. The following year, we left Twist, went to Citizen Coffee for, I think, an edition, went to Golden Chile. Our friends in the fashion space started coming. The first two musicians who performed were Kwabena and Efia. So we started growing from a family brand to a Pan-African brand, and now it's become an international brand, what the BBC describes as the biggest cultural expose in Africa.
Absolutely.
We've done well. And the team has been very supportive.
But how did you do it? I mean, because year after year, everything needs to be different. So
It's always my biggest challenge.
I mean, we were speaking about this a few weeks ago.
Always my biggest. I sorted it out.
Yeah?
Yeah, I told you.
Yeah.
I mean,
No, but I knew you would.
Yeah. We sorted out. Yeah, it's always a challenge, you know, because we have to grow the brand, we have to evolve, and fashion in itself, as it were, is evolving globally. Interestingly, eyes are on Africa now.
Absolutely.
So
Africa's a new cool.
Yeah. It's a great time for us now. So we need to make sure that we're getting it right.
When we were speaking earlier, you mentioned the orange economy
Yes.
and the creative economy. And you're a creative entrepreneur.
Yeah.
How do you move? And I want you to advise people or drop a nugget for creatives who want to move from just being a creative to becoming a creative entrepreneur, where your talent is no longer just talent. You're not doing it just for the sake of art, but you are creating a business out of it. That's also replicating benefits for other people. How do you get there?
I think the most important thing is knowing yourself. It's interesting, when Rhythm started, it was just a handful of us, maybe about 2 or 3 people. And I was focused and I was doing a lot of work. Like, there was so much on me. I could not even work on my phone. I could not drive.
Wow.
So whenever there's rhythms, I get a driver. That's the only time I need a driver. And then Mrs. Rollins, who keeps her eyes on us whenever we're having rhythms,
Yes.
because you know she's a
Of course,
graphic designer as well.
and also a fashionista and every,
fashionista.
you know.
So one day she called me and went like, Kofi, you know, you can do this alone. You know, you need a team. Yeah, you don't necessarily have to keep the team together from beginning of the year till the end of the year, but maybe keep them around for like 6 months.
Yeah.
And that was like the first 3 years of Rhythms on the Runway. So we decided to grow up, you know, beyond Yvonne, myself, and a couple of people, to involve a lot more people. I mean, you have always supported from a distance. You know, we obviously we can't do it alone. So as a creative, know your niche, understand what you want to do, and to know that you cannot do it alone. Get a team. Very often, let me use musicians as an example here. It starts with their immediate friends, but as they grow and get bigger, they realize that once they understand the business of music, their friends become kind of irrelevant.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't really relegate them because they've been through the trenches with you. But they need to understand that, Charlie, where we're going,
You can't take me
know?
there. Yeah.
yeah. Was it Moses who was taking the people to?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, but I'm waiting for the day you invite the pot bellies like us to be on the run.
No, but we've done that before.
We've done that.
Last year we had some really
Yeah, but
huge
of course you
women.
said it was too late.
No, it was too late. But really, we always look for real people.
Yeah,
I
last
think
year,
that the world
there
is
were
gone
plus
past-
size
yeah, plus
women,
size
and they actually wore aha,
Exactly.
lingerie.
Yeah.
I mean,
I know.
amazing.
For medium size.
You know, it was like a Brazilian or Notting Hill carnival on the set.
It was one of the
I loved
highlights.
it. I loved it. I loved it.
Amazing.
I loved
so, Jimmy,
it.
you passed to be one of our models. We choose to. I mean, I think globally the narrative is changing as well. They want to have real people on the runway, not
Absolutely.
your typical size zeros. No.
Definitely. Well, Taster General,
Yeah.
we need to wrap this up. What's your verdict?
Oh, my verdict.
If
for
you like.
A man from
If you like, say you don't like
to be
it.
doing kolo tea and toasted bread. He's past the excellent mark. Yeah, because she's associated with the British Accra.
Oh God.
Yeah. So the Danish.
credit.
Yes, yes,
So the Danish Accra.
yes. We're giving her.
You're giving him and her. We like it. Bra coffee, KOD. Thank you. But how do you find the food?
I love it.
Yeah, when there's less
It's
pressure
very
and no cameras, I'll make it for you
Yeah.
again.
I'm fine.
Yeah, we'll do
We
it
like the
again.
quality, yeah.
We'll do it again. It's funny that how we been say, oh, we need to catch up, we need to do coffee, we need to do tea, and then had to be on set.
I know, right?
But thank you, and we will be looking
welcome.
out for rhythms this year.
Yeah.
Of course, support you up close and from
Always,
afar
yeah,
all
always,
the time.
always.
But do you have any final words? Anything you want to say?
It's always
Anything?
great to be with my city family. It's always home here.
We
Always
love
has
you.
been.
We love you.
Yeah. I mean, there's so much love in this place, and thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for
To our
coming.
viewers, keep watching CTT.
Absolutely. See, this is what happens when you have a colossus in media join you on set. Right? He does your outro for you. I love it. I love it. So I don't need to say much. Thank you for watching. I hope you got the recipe. Check out City Tube. Everything will be there as well. Again, do not forget, this show is sponsored by Tasty Tom. Ufa kakra, na bebre. My name is Apiorkor. We'll see you next week.